Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone, I say afternoon, but you're listening to Community Spotlight on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I have a very good friend of mine, a colleague, a cohort, partner in crime. Well, I shouldn't say partner in crime. He's an attorney, so I better not talk about that like that. But a very good friend of mine, somebody who's also been involved in the community, who will be talking to us, and we hopefully will be joined by a Ms. Mixon, the sister of Manuel Ellis, the late Manuel Ellis, who was tragically killed and died in custody in Tacoma back in March 3rd, as a matter of fact. What I've invited Lynn to come in and talk about the actions and activities of the group that's being formed, or that has been formed, to address the issue of the killing of let's just say it's the killing of Manuel Ellis. He was killed. He was murdered, basically. At least that's my take on it. You're an attorney. You'll couch it in different terms, but I wanted to bring them on and talk about what we can do to support them, those of us in the community, as well as the Rainier Avenue Radio.world group, to talk about and get the word out about. I think there's going to be some kind of public issues involved in an initiative. I understand I heard that term initiative coming up or something like that. And so, Lynn French, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on air with me and on this community spotlight. I appreciate it. And so, again, Lynn, let me ask you this, and you are an attorney. You've got a master's degree. You've been involved in running community programs. Cannon House is one of them, but you've also been involved in helping form the Central District Community Preservation Development Authority, which I'm on the board. I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyways, you did a lot of work there. But your involvement has been basically in the community, serving the community, supporting the community, and so it's pretty obvious how you got involved with this situation involving the Manuel Ellis situation. But share with us, would you, your involvement and how you got involved, and also what you want to talk about today. So
okay, well, let me qualify one fact. I am not currently practicing law, okay. So I need to make that clear. I am a Juris Doctor. The Bar Association allows me to be referred to as Dr. French, but I'm not in the practice of law at this time. What I would love to—
There's Rudolph Giuliani. He's an attorney, but he sure don't practice law. I mean,
yeah, well, whatever he practices is turning up lemons. That's for sure.
Okay, please. I mean, go ahead. Thank you.
Let me comment first and set the record straight. Manuel Ellis's death was ruled a homicide.
Yep.
And I think it's to each and every person's on view, since there's not been a trial and there's an ongoing investigation at the state level that had to be taken out of the hands of Tacoma Police and Tacoma Sheriff's Office. Mm-hmm. So there's a state investigation underway right now. Yes, he was murdered. He was murdered before George Floyd's murder was televised nationally. He died in a chokehold, and in a brief summation of what transpired, he was at church at choir rehearsal, and the choir rehearsal ended, and he was on his way home. He was walking home, not far from the church, and he was inspired by his religious experience in church. And there were church parishioners who were also getting in their cars, preparing to leave to go home. And Manuel was walking alongside all of the parked cars. He knocked on the window, said good night in a very jovial and happy refrain.
And this was in Tacoma.
This was in Tacoma on March 3rd. And he, in that lineup of cars parked to the side of the road at the curb, was a police car. And he waved at them good night, as well as he had done for all the other cars and parishioners who he had passed by. for whatever reason, they felt that that was a act that warranted the police to chase after him, wrestle him down to the ground, put him in a chokehold, and it was filmed by other church members who witnessed the incident, put in the chokehold, and the last words that he uttered while he was in that chokehold was, "I can't breathe." And they did not relent until they killed him. That's murder, in my opinion. So yes, there's a serious concern. It's national, it's local, and we need to do something about it. How I've become involved with this particular case and what I'm doing otherwise is I am the main sponsor for Initiative 1300, the Manuel Ellis Washington Anti-Discrimination Act. And to be clear about what that act is about, I'm going to talk about the major areas of redress in that initiative. But last year, we had an initiative. It was called Initiative 1000, I-1000, which was promoting affirmative action, diversity, and inclusion in Washington State, without necessarily affording affirmative action any such requirement of quotas or preferential treatment. It would allow public agencies, it would have allowed public agencies to be able to put outreach programs in place to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it was, in fact, I-1000 was, in fact, passed into law by the Washington State Legislature. We gathered over 369,000 signatures to support the measure. And it went to the legislature, it passed, was enacted into law. And the opponents, Tim Eyman's group of people that he leads, who were the original sponsors for I-200, the affirmative action measure, they opposed it, and a referendum for 88 was put forth. And in effect, we narrowly lost that measure. It was repealed by referendum 88 by a margin of less than 1% in an off-year election period. Wow. So we have put forth Initiative 1300. We've addressed any and all shortcomings that we thought were not as solid as we would have liked in I-1000.
Okay.
And so here's the deal. Number one, it would provide legal protection for minorities and other disadvantaged groups to be able to get admission into state and public universities. So right now, most people who live here know the representation of African American and other minorities has come close to zero at the University of Washington and other state institutions. So we want legal rights to be able to attend those state-funded universities. Secondly, contracting. African Americans have, and other minorities have lost over $4 billion in contract work since the passage of I-200 some 20 plus years ago. And so we have a lot of catching up to do. Many minority contractors have since gone out of business due to a lack of work that's been made available to the companies. The work is there, the availability of it is not.
Right.
So contracting opportunities is another major area. Health and safety, we have undertaking in Initiative 1300 a provision that provides for non-discrimination, no discrimination in the distribution of COVID-19 vaccinations. So that's another fourth area of promotion that we're seeking. And then last but not least, we are establishing a legal right not to have law enforcement discriminate against African American and other minorities by singling us out and using excessive force, including deadly force, such as the chokehold, providing legal rights through prospective, potential, and past victims, so that this issue in Washington State would begin its way to coming to a close. We want it to stop, and we want it to stop right now. So that's what Initiative 1300 does. We've named it in honor of Manuel Ellis. Monet Carter Mixon is the younger sister of Manuel Ellis. We were hoping to have her here on this call to talk more about the experiences of the family as we have gone through this troubling time.
Oh boy, that has to be heart-wrenching. Oh God! But let me get back. Let's go back. It is my understanding there was no warrant or warrant for with respect to Mr. Ellis. In other words, the police had no warrant for him. There was nothing in terms of their actions that was a provocation other than by their own act. In other words, he didn't provoke it. He wasn't on a warrant or want by the police. It was just, they just singled him out and put him in a chokehold.
Well, he did not have any kind of weapon whatsoever.
Yeah.
He was smiling, he was happy, and walking home. And if that's probable cause to put him in a chokehold and kill him, then this country has reached an all-time low. So you're right. There was nothing to provoke these officers other than he was walking while black, and that is the central issue.
In the neighborhood where it's predominantly African American, if we're talking about the place I know about in Tacoma, yeah, I mean that's the large measure of the population there is African American as well as other minorities, but predominantly African American.
Right.
So Lynn, what we're talking about here is a wonderful opportunity for this state to do something in a fashion that pays honor to him in his remembrance, but for the inherent good for all. I mean, my understanding is 98% of the dollars in terms of contracting in the state of Washington went to non-minority firms. 98% of those billions of dollars since 1998.
Right.
And then you look at the enrollment. The one group that has been able to maintain some numbers are foreign exchange students, international students,
right,
who are not U.S. citizens.
Right.
In other words, kids of color who were born and raised here as U.S. citizens. I'm not going to talk about national, I'm not getting in that argument, but it's significant that all of those numbers are down. African American, it's interesting. And actually it's tragic too. So Initiative 1300. That's going to be, well, I know how, I guess the initiative process is to get the signatures, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We're right now standing at over 210,000 signatures already gathered. We are pursuing the balance of 90,000. Our target is 300,000 signatures to assure ourselves of the initiative qualifying as having that the legal requirements of the state. We have until December 31st to complete that signature gathering process. We have volunteers in most every county in the
state
who will help them. They can go online right now to I1300 Manuel Ellis.com, and and the petitions and the information on our site, I-1300 Manuel Ellis, and it will bring up our site. And I emphasize, making sure that viewers input I-1300 Manuel Ellis,
Okay.
because our opponents are very crafty, and
Right.
and they have put up advertising calling it I-1300 to speak against it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so be careful
Right.
that you don't go on to one of the sites. Their biggest issue is, oh, this would give you preferential treatment.
No, that's, yeah.
Well, the state Supreme Court has already ruled and defined what preferential treatment is. And so there is court law on the books that defines what is preferential treatment and what's allowed within that context of that definition.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of case law that says what is disparate treatment based on race. And
Exactly.
I mean it fits hand in glove.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
their aim is to try and label this as the old and long gone affirmative action program. That is not what this is.
Right.
They know that they can get reactions from persons who are set in their mind that if it says affirmative action, then we're going to say no to it. So they now these folks, you're right. Many of them are. Well, Tim Eyman has led a group of Chinese, and many of whom have come from mainland China to attend the University of Washington and other public institutions here. They have been persuaded that if they allow our measure to go through, it would take away admission seats for them in the various technological and other graduate and professional programs. That is simply not true. They have been the recipients of preferential treatment. There's a GIX University in Bellevue. There's 90% Chinese, with many of them being foreign immigrants, who have been the recipients of largesse from Microsoft to the tune of $40 million to help build that university, and the unequivocal support of the University of Washington in partnership with mainland China. And so there's stuff going on that isn't getting aired and publicly viewed by many, but preferential treatment is going to people who are not U.S. citizens to a very large extent. And that we feel is unconscionable when we have people who have toiled and labored here and earned the right to be able to attend public institutions, yet we're being denied that.
Well, I happen to be part of an organization, OCA, which is a national organization Chinese American, who've been very adamant in speaking out against those anti-affirmative action groups, including those of Chinese ancestry. You're telling them that you're totally wrong. We are in support of affirmative action, because who are getting basically impacted are American-born Chinese persons, as well as other people of color, who suffered through discrimination and exclusion. And these individuals who come here, and this is a fact, haven't had that experience in this country as our groups have, as people of color have experienced. So, yeah. So, hey, you're listening to Community Spotlight on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. My very special guest and spokesperson for Initiative 1300, Mr. Lynn French, Dr. Lynn D. French. It's a middle initial D.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Lynn D. So it's Dr. Lynn D. French. And again, a good friend of mine, but also a very eloquent spokesperson for Initiative 1300. You can check it out online. It's Initiative 1300. Manuel Ellis is what it's called, correct? Is the title?
I-1300 Manuel Ellis, Washington Anti-Discrimination Act. I-1300 Manuel Ellis.
And so you have a few weeks to go. Please check it out, folks. It's very important. They get the signatures. Initiative And a lot of people don't understand the initiative process. There are two ways you get law, or actually several ways you get laws passed. But one way, public law, is through initiative, signatures, then the vote of the people, and all of those kind of things. Is that correct, Lynn?
That's correct. This is a people's initiative. So this is the voice of the citizens for Washington State saying we want legal rights to be honored for African American and all other minorities in all of these areas of concern: public education, safety, and protection from abusive acts of law enforcement, especially with regard to the chokehold.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. We know these things have occurred. We know that there are disparities in the system. We know that this whole issue of Black Lives Matter has drawn out the ideology of what has been discrimination and exclusion and racism in this country. I mean, let's face it. These are facts. This is a fact. This is nothing. It's not conjecture. Again, there's case law. There's, case law, documentation, that there are disparities in our society. We talk about the aspect of how COVID is being treated and how it's being manifested in different communities and who's being impacted. 75% of the deaths that occurred, at one point in time in Louisiana, were African Americans, 75%. And so, and then I understand in New York, a significant number of those people who were impacted were Black and brown people.
Exactly.
And so people who are listening, people listen up. This is an opportunity for us to right some of the wrongs. Sign on to that initiative, sign it, because that's the one way we can move to get laws, to get regulations, to get procedures in place. It's a simple matter of putting your name there where your heart is and where your head is. I say head and heart, support it. And so anyways, I had to do that little commentary, Lynn.
I appreciate that, John. And just so for your viewers to know, again, it's I-1300 Manuel Ellis. And if you go to the site, you can download the petition. It can be printed out on 11 by 17. We would ask that you put your signature and get the signatures of 19 other people. The address as to where to mail the petition, signed petition back, is on the website. And we have coordinators in King County who can be contacted, and those will be posted on the website so that you can contact them and they can connect with you to collect the signed petitions. So if there's any trouble, use the information for contact on the website, and you will get a response, a very timely one, because time is of the essence.
Right.
We have to complete this signature gathering by December 31st. We have about 90,000 signatures to collect in order to put the measure before the legislature so that it can vote on it. Right. And we succeeded with I-1000. We fully expect that we will succeed with I-1300. So we welcome your support. We welcome any donations if you wish to make them. But most importantly, please sign the petition. Go to the website, I-1300 Manuel Ellis, and you will find the information you need.
So moving along, have you heard or have you seen any organized opposition at this point in time? Are you aware of that occurring right now?
Yes, that's again Tim Eyman and the same group that opposed I-1000.
Okay.
And they are very well organized. They're well financed.
Right.
And so it's very strong opposition. So what we need, the main thing, is Barack Obama would say, we need your vote, and your vote is your signature on a petition to promote it, and then it will go to the legislature for a vote as well. So that's the best way we can respond, is just, if you want to volunteer, we can use volunteers to help collect signatures. And everyone knows this is a COVID-19 environment today. we have protective gear for individuals who want to be able to move about the community to collect signatures, masks, gloves, sanitizer, and the like. And again, contact us on the website, and we'll be able to make those provisions available. So all the support that anyone and everyone can offer, we welcome it graciously.
And what better way to honor Manuel Ellis?
Right.
Sign your name and support this initiative.
Yes.
To right all these wrongs and to make a statement that, you know, again, in state of Washington, we're opposed to injustice. We're opposed to disparate treatment. We're opposed to racism, discrimination, all of the isms that are negative and pejorative and that impact us. So Lynn, again, initiative 1300, Manuel Ellis.
Right, I-1300 Manuel Ellis. And the site will be pulled up. If you put in that into your browser, you'll be able to log on to it.
And look for it, please. So thank you very much, Lynn. We're going to probably, hopefully, get you back, and we'll get Ms. Mixon on too, and talk about the progress in a few weeks.
Indeed.
Of course, you know, and like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, and I want to thank her. And I know things happen, and people get busy this time of year too. But yeah, no, you're very welcome, Lynn, and thank you very much for your good work. You know, like I said, you know, you can call me anything, and call me anything you want to, as long as you call me for dinner. So.
Well, John, I look forward to coming back on your show and program, and with the many topics to discuss, and would love to be with you again.
Great, Lynn. Thank you very much. Again, Lynn French. Oh, yeah, actually, you are a entrepreneur. You have your own company, Global, right?
Global Business Development, yes.
Global
indeed.
Business. Look for that too online. But again, Initiative 1300, I-1300, Manuel Ellis. Please check it out. Sign your name. You know, do something positive for the inherent good that this will accomplish. Thank you very much again, Lynn.
Great. Thanks, John.
Take care. You listen
to
to Community Spotlight on RainierAvenueRadio.world.